I'm Leon Lovelace, and this is Unstoppable Force. Now, I need your help. I have a GoFundMe campaign. I'm going to put a link in the description box below. I need you to go there and donate to it so I could do this show full time instead of just part time. Okay, I got a news story for you, and it's from The Intercept. It's about another shady Puerto Rican contract that's in the works right now. National outrage has led to the cancellation of a suspicious $300 million contract doled out to a tiny Montana company that was oddly tasked with rebuilding large parts of Puerto Rico's electric grid. Bernie Sanders helped fight against that contract and helped get it canceled. So, of course, we appreciated Bernie and all the other Congress people that helped get that canceled. Alright, but let's continue. A separate $200 million contract has faced little scrutiny, but may ultimately be even more scandalous for what it says about the effort to rebuild the island in the aftermath of Hurricane Maria. The deal was inked with a company called Cobra Acquisitions LLC, which didn't even exist until this year. It's a subsidiary of an Oklahoma-based fossil fuel company, suggesting that neither the Puerto Rican Electric Power Authority nor the federal government has much interest in seizing the opportunity presented by the storm to rebuild Puerto Rico in a sustainable way that relies on renewable energy rather than imported oil. Again, here's a quote. "We expect this to be a credit to our corporate margin," an unidentified Mammoth executive said on the conference call. "Quite honestly, we wouldn't have entered this contract if we didn't think we'd get paid." So that's a disaster right there. Puerto Rican Power Authority shouldn't be trying to go to private contractors to rebuild their infrastructure, because we do not need to be given any federal money to any of these businesses to make profit off of, because that's just going to hurt the people of Puerto Rico and the people of the United States to enrich the wealthy oligarchs and the wealthy corporate owners over helping out the people that have been going through these hurricanes over this last hurricane season. All right, Mammoth, Cobra's. I'm gonna skip down a little bit. Mammoth, Cobra's parent firm, is primarily an oil field services company with several smaller subsidiaries selling a range of support offerings to fracking and other fossil fuel extraction operations. HBC Investments, one of Whitefish's major financiers, owns several fossil fuel holdings. PREPA itself, like most island energy systems, is also inordinately dependent on imported oil, generating 47.4% of its power from that source alone. Alright, PREPA is currently $9 billion in debt and gives more than $1 billion a year to off-island oil and gas companies. Yet even as utilities leadership has acknowledged that its fiscal sustainability relies on a transition away from oil, its plan has been to transition not to distributed renewables, which are more resilient to storms, but to centralized natural gas. In 2010, Puerto Rico's legislators set out a plan to get a full 12% of energy from renewables by 2015. And as of 2015, just 3.3% of its power was derived from clean energy. Nearly a third of the island's generating capacity, meanwhile, came from natural gas. And PREPA's plan for 2035 includes the construction of a $400 million liquid natural gas imported terminal. Currently, all signs point to PREPA rebuilding its energy system back to the pre-storm status quo or worse. Then the article talks about how Cobra is, well, they're a fossil fuel company, but they're also going into the utility sector. Of course, that also leads into having monopolies where companies just scoop up and enter into too many different sectors of the economy, so they can control way too much. They get way too much power from that. So there's could be future antitrust issues there. So there's a lot in this article, but I'll skip down to near the bottom. Okay, the issues surrounding its contract, though, reflect broader problems plaguing PREPA. The startling lack of transparency, costly mismanagement, and abiding fondness for the fossil fuel industry, all compounded by crippling debt and a catastrophic storm. The Fiscal Oversight Board and others on the island see the solution to these problems as privatization. Late last week, that federally appointed body, now in charge of the island's finances and government, cited purpose pursuant to the Whitefish contract as rationale for wanting to install a Flint-style emergency manager to oversee the utility, a move many expect will pave the way for selling it off to the highest bidders. If purpose brushes with private industry thus far have been any indication, privatization will be anything but a solution to the utility's problems. So if a lot of you watch the TYT politics coverage of the Flint water problems, a lot of the problems have also been because they have a emergency manager, and that person is only accountable to the governor, Rick Snyder of Michigan. And since Rick Snyder, what he's done is he's really run roughshod among the Flint city government, because he's wanted to take control of it so they could really try to privatize some of the, or at least a new water pipeline that's getting built, and not wanting to really protect the people of Flint, Michigan. It's just made the Flint water crisis even worse, and it's just lengthened the period of time that they're still having poisoned water being distributed all over that city. So any sign of having something like an emergency manager is not going to benefit the people of Puerto Rico or any other region. So we got to make sure that any state governments or any state agencies aren't looking to get emergency management to control anything.